Good morning, everybody. We'll call to order our November 5th, 2019 regular meeting of the Mason County Board of Commissioners. Begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Don, if you wouldn't mind leading us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Don. Moving on to item number 3, roll call. If the clerk will please take roll.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Sharon Trask.
I'm here.
Okay, very good. Item number 4, correspondence and organizational business. Item 4.1, if the clerk would please report the correspondence.
The Economic Development Council sent in their 2019 third quarter report. Jerry O'Hale sent in a letter regarding the North Bay sewer system rate increases. FEMA sent a letter of map revision for case 19-10-1306A. Department of Health sent in administrative orders reclassifying a portion of both the Oakland Bay and Hammersley Inlet commercial shellfish growing area from conditionally approved to approved. The Washington State Department of Revenue sent in a levy for Mason County Public Hospital District Number 2. A letter was received from Christopher B. Keffler regarding his legal situation. A letter was received from DNR regarding the long-term conservation strategy for the marbled murrelet. And U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service sent a notice of 60-day comment period regarding the streaked horned lark recovery plan.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to item number 5, this is our open forum for citizen input. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on items not on today's agenda. If you have an item that you'd like to bring to the commission during this period, just raise your hand. Chair will recognize you, come forward to the podium, and state your name and make a comment. Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6, adoption of today's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda for November 5th, 2019.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask for an amendment
Okay.
to that. I thought, I don't know how I missed it the other day, but item number 8.9 was not approved to be on the agenda for this week. It was supposed to come up in our briefing. We had a week to come back and re-look at it, but it was never supposed to go on the agenda.
I believe there was a quorum of commissioners that supported it, moving to the agenda.
I thought there was a quorum of commissioners that agreed to wait a week and bring it back.
So do we have what's the procedure on?
From what I understand, Diane asked the three of you if you would be comfortable moving it to the agenda and went from there. And I believe 2 of you did say yes.
When was, okay, well, whenever in doubt, that should be done in a meeting, not by a telephone call. And if one objects, then it definitely shouldn't be on the action agenda. But I didn't even object, 'cause I didn't even see that, so.
Okay, so there's currently a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to that? I will second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
And the motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, approval of minutes. We have minutes from October 17th, 14th, 21st, 2019's briefing minutes, and October 15th, 2019 regular minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of October 7th, October 14th, October 21st, 2019 briefing minutes, and October 15th, 2019 regular minutes.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve minutes from October 7th, 14th, 21st, 2019 briefing minutes, and October 15th, 2019 regular minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to item number 8, approval of the action agenda. Commissioners will read through the items on today's action agenda, at which time a commissioner or a member of the public may ask to have an item removed for a separate discussion and vote. Commissioner Trask, if you'd please take items 8.1 through 6. I'll take 8.7 through 12. And Commissioner Netherland, if you'd please take 8.13 through 8.17.
Item 8.1, approval to have the chair sign the vehicle take-home assignment authorization request forms for Michael Lieberg, Alan Eaton, Rod LaRue, Brennan Profit, Grant Deschon, and Cynthia Brewer for calendar year 2020. Item 8.2, approval to set a public hearing on Tuesday, November 26, 2019 at 9:15 a.m. to certify the county assessor the amount of taxes levied for county purposes and the amount of taxes levied for current expense and roads for 2020. An increase to the current expense and road property tax levies for 2020 may be considered. Item 8.3, approval to set hearing on Monday, December 2nd, 2019 at 9 a.m. to consider adoption of the 2020 budget for Mason County. Copies of the 2020 preliminary budget will be available to the public on November 18th, 2019. Item 8.4, approval of the proposed 2020 environmental health fees. If approved, fees go into effect January 1st, 2020. Item 8.5, approval to appoint Mark Nault to the Mason County Civil Service Commission to fill the remainder of a 6-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Item 8.6, approval to amend Resolution 80-19 to revise the non-represented salary scale range alignment by approving a 1.75% general wage increase effective January 20th, 2020. January 1st, 2020.
Item 8.7, approval of warrants and treasurer electronic remittances. Claims clearing fund warrant numbers 806-7680 through 806-8040 in the amount of $820,721.25. Direct deposit fund warrant numbers 63014-63407 in the amount of $714,489.83. Salary clearing fund warrant numbers 7004766 through 7004790 in the amount of $498,833.99. Approval of a resolution effective January 1st, 2020 for participants of the PEB medical program, which allocates through the pooling method $963.08 per month county contribution for all employee single enrollments on medical, $1,460.21 per month for Teamsters General Services collective bargaining agreement in place but not ratified on January 1st, 2019 with dependent enrollments, $1,512.21 per month for Teamsters Community and Family Health and IWA deputy prosecutors collective bargaining agreements in place but not ratified on January 1st, 2020. $1,564.21 for all elected officials, eligible non-represented, and Teamsters probation and IWA public defenders whose collective bargaining agreements are in place and ratified on January 1st, 2020. Approval to sign a letter of support for the Squaxin Island Tribe's application to take into trust properties previously held by the aquaculture business Clamfresh, known as Quarters Point, and specifically identified as parcel numbers 31914-10-80-830, 31914-24-90032, and 31914-40-80840. Item 8.10, approval of the fiscal year 19 emergency management performance grant contract number E20-121 in the amount of $35,677, and approval to allow the emergency management manager to sign on behalf of Mason County. 8.11, approval to authorize Public Works, ER&R to advertise, set bid opening, date, time, award, and allow the chair to sign all pertinent documents for the call for bids to furnish Mason County and asphaltic materials for the 2020 calendar year. Contract awards will be announced at a scheduled meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Item 8.12, approval to authorize Public Works, ER&R to advertise, set bid opening, date, time, award, and allow the chair to sign all pertinent documents for the call for bids to furnish Mason County with culvert pipe and linings for the 2020 calendar year. Contract awards will be announced at a scheduled meeting of the Board of Mason County Commissioners.
Item number 8.3, approval to authorize Public Works to use county vendor roster to solicit and establish a 2020 surfacing material unit pricing vendor list and purchase quantities as needed. Item number 8.14, approval to set a hearing for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019 at 9:15 a.m. to consider a code amendment to Mason County Code Chapter 13.31, Section 060, A1A, G, and H regarding capital facility charges, schedule, and exceptions. Item number 8.15, approval to have the chair sign the following Title VI of the Civil Rights Act related requirements. Number 1, updated Title VI non-discrimination agreement and U.S. Department of Transportation, U.S. DOT standard Title VI non-discrimination assurances. The annual accomplishment, number 2, the annual accomplishment and update report covering the reporting period from May 1st, 2018 to April 30th, 2019. Item number 8.16, approval to set a hearing on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019, 9:15 a.m. to consider entering into a lease agreement with Verizon Wireless LLC to construct a new, unstaffed wireless communication facility on a portion of the Public Works Facility property, parcel number 42002-21-90010 at 100 West Public Works Drive, Shelton, and approval to authorize the chair to sign the memorandum of land lease agreement. Item number 8.17, approval to set a hearing on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019, to consider improving the franchise agreement applications between Mason County and the following: Belfair Water District Number 1, Trails End Water District Number 2, Cherokee Strip HOA and Water, Collins Lake Community Club, Camilchi Point Community Club, Lake Limerick Water Supply LLC, Shorecrest Estates Water Company, Star Lake Community Club, Holiday Beach Home Tracks, whatever WS stands for, granting permission to run the utility lines under and across the county road right-of-way.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Having read through the items on today's action agenda, are there any items the Commissioner would like to have removed for separate discussion and vote?
Item number 8.9, please.
Okay, we'll move 8.9 for a separate discussion and vote. Any other items, Commissioners, to be removed? Any members of the public have items to be removed for a separate discussion and vote? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion on the remainder of the action agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the action agenda as stated, but removing 8.9 for a separate vote.
I will second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the action agenda as presented with the exception of 8.9, which will be removed for a separate vote. Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to item 8.9, approval to sign a letter of support for the Squaxin Island Tribe's application to take into trust properties previously held by the aquaculture business Clamfresh, known as Quarters Point and specifically identified as parcel numbers 31914-10-80830, 31914-24, 90032 and 31914-40-80840. I'll brief this. This doesn't have a staff component to it. A few weeks ago, I was approached by the Squaxin Island Tribe, who is making application to bring into their trust properties a couple of parcels that they had purchased on the open market. As they put together their application, they've solicited letters from other entities such as Fire District 4, members of our legislative delegation and congressional delegation, and other community groups. And so I brought that forward to the commission. We deliberated it for a couple of weeks, and that has since moved on to the agenda today. Any questions? Okay, Commissioner.
Yes, do we know whether or not that the vote to put this on the agenda occurred during regular business meetings? Was there any special notice if it was not done on a regular business meeting as scheduled through our registrar?
It was discussed at briefing, and the conversation was, do we want to move this? I said yes. There was a conversation between you and Commissioner Trask, and you said, would you like another week to consider it? And my question was, do we want to consider, what other options exist that we would be considering? And at that point,
It was to talk to other individuals, and
those conversations happened directly
Yes.
after that conversation.
But then we never had another meeting to put it on the agenda. It was said that there was a request from a staff member to put it on, and if that's what it was based upon, was that done during the regular business time? And if it was not, then it should not be on here. And again, if it's done with an objection, which didn't even know that was happening, it should not be on there unless it's voted on to be on there at the briefings.
I believe there were 2 commissioners at that briefing that wanted to move it forward.
I thought 2 commissioners agreed to wait a week before moving forward.
That's not my understanding, and apparently that's not staff's understanding.
Well, then why would they call and ask to have it put on if that was not their understanding?
I think to confirm it.
Well, you're the chair, so you get to make that ruling on that, but I think it is inappropriate, and I think that this one's a mistake, and I think that I would rather us at least wait for a week, for two reasons. One, because I think it's inappropriate that it's even on here, but two, the people that would testify are not even here because they didn't realize, they thought they had a week also.
It's been on the agenda since last Thursday, and I'm not sure when you looked through the agenda for today, but it's been available publicly as we do for our normal process since last week.
Okay, and again, as you can see, they're not here. The ones that talked, that would like to talk in front of the public, are not here. So I will make a motion that it's tabled for 1 week.
Okay. There's a motion to table this letter for 1 week. Is there a second? Okay, hearing no second. Is there another motion or action at all?
I'll make a motion that we approve to sign the letter of support for Squaxin Island Tribe's application to take into trust the properties previously held by the aquaculture business Clam Fresh, known as Quarters Point, and specifically identified as parcel numbers 31914-10-80830, 31914-24-90032, and 31914-40-80840.
Is there a second? I will second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve signing the letter of support for the Squaxin Island Tribe's application to take into trust the properties previously held by the aquaculture business Clam Fresh, known as Quarters Point, and specifically identified as parcel numbers 31914-10-80830, 31914-24-90032, and 31914-40-80840. Any additional discussion?
Yes.
Sure.
Again, you've already heard my complaints about this not going through the proper process, that people need to have the ability, not just this on here, but they had the understanding that it was going to be a week difference. And that's fine, we'll deal with that. As for this, no matter how you look at it, although I appreciate the tribes, we can't keep taking our lands out of our own tax base and raise the taxes of everybody else to cover it. When it goes out of our tax base, we all have the same pie. The amount of share that every person in the county pays increases when we take lands out of our tax base. Not to mention, there's also going to be an effect on sales tax and everything else, and I don't think it's appropriate. We can have good relationships and good partnerships without putting the burden on other people in the community. But again, my biggest complaint is that this should not even be coming up for a vote at this time.
Very good, thank you. Any additional discussion?
Yeah, I would like to just say, this was not a decision I made quickly. I think Commissioner Neville and I did a lot of research, and I'd like to, everyone else to know that I did a lot of research, spoke to many people, including the people that were here. And I wish they were here too, also, so that I could explain why I am voting for this. So it's very important for me to establish a relationship with our partners, with our neighbors. And I think there's a lot of people that had some ideas that we're taking this off the taxes or tax rolls, yes, but I think what a lot of people don't understand is the contributions that the Squaxins have made with us, and that the partnerships that they are already working on. So just for example, the Fire District 4, the tribe paid for the building and gave them the land. It's one of the fire stations that's manned, and it has 3 bays. There's also, they are one of the largest employers in Mason County. Not just the casino, but they also have their tribal offices, their natural resources office, Salish Seafood, and many others. And it was confirmed that many of the employees are not tribal members. They are our neighbors. They also use local contractors in most cases. Out on Lynch Road, there's a new PUD transfer station going in. They partnered with PUD 3 and Taylor's to get that built. And so, so there's another contribution. They also have an MOU with the Sheriff's Office. And they're working with the Department of Ecology, Shelton Yacht Club, and the Simpsons on restoration of a restoration project in Oakland Bay. So I want to just reemphasize that I believe it's important that we work on our partnerships with all of our neighbors. And in doing so, I think that this letter shows that we can work together on many projects, and this will be a good addition, I think.
Okay, very good. Any additional discussion?
Yes. Would we do the same for other businesses that come in? Businesses, the partnerships are constant with everybody, and it's a give and take, but it goes the same with every business that comes in. If we start taking all the places that want to do business in our community and start taking them out of our tax rolls, everybody else in the community has to pay more. That's just the way it works. And although I appreciate they have employees there, they had employees there also before they purchased it. It's just a reallocation of who owns the property, not the company itself as much as how many employees that they have. There's other companies that they will be purchasing. This is not the first and won't be the last. There's quite a few more. So that means coming in the near future, especially with this letter set as a precedent, there's going to be more that's coming off, that'll come off our tax rolls that other people have to pay for to cover it. Partnerships are nice, yes, but at the same time, they get something out of it and we get something out of it. When they do some partnerships like with the Sheriff's Department, both sides are getting something. They're not just giving us a gift. So again, I just wanted to make that clear that although I appreciate the partnerships, it's not that simple. And I do know that you did your work, and I hope I didn't say anything at the beginning that made it sound like you didn't, because I appreciated that you met with those people and that you talked with them and that you did your work. I very much appreciate that. My only issue is that this shouldn't be on the agenda this time.
Very good, thank you. I'll just make a couple of quick comments. This idea, would we do it for other businesses that came in? I think there's a couple of ways to look at that issue. One of them is, here in a little bit, we're gonna have a public hearing to consider removing certain permit requirements that would benefit builders in our community and have a revenue impact on the county. Additionally, do we look at the Squaxin Island Tribe as a business or as a government? And I think that frames the entire conversation. And if they're a business, that's one thing. But if we view them as a government, which they are, in my opinion, and I think that's been well established through case law and through treaties and compacts, then this is no different than a school or a fire district buying property on the open market, putting a facility there, employing people, and not paying the county property tax. I too met with some of the folks that you had suggested meet with us. I listened to their opinions. I've obviously had conversations with folks at the tribe about this. And I have also reached the same conclusion that this is not as detrimental to the county as it may be presented by some folks. That partnership issue is important. It does matter. And that goes beyond just traditional government-to-government relationships and partnerships. I serve on the board for MACECOM. The Squaxin Island Tribe is continually a partner on our efforts to improve our 911 and emergency communications infrastructure. And I think the list goes on. And I don't think that's up for debate today. I think we've all kind of established that the Squaxin Island Tribe has been a good partner in a lot of other areas. But I think it really does come down to how we view the tribe as a partner. Are they a business or are they a government? And I think if we look at them as the government that they are, you would see that this is not out of bounds with how we treat other government agencies in the community, ourselves included. So I do appreciate the variety of viewpoints that were brought to us. Commissioner, I'll certainly I think we should have a conversation at our next briefing about process on this and discuss it. And if again, this has been publicized since last week as being on today's agenda. So I do believe that it's in bounds from that perspective as well. But there's always room for improvement when it comes to making these decisions and moving them forward. So I appreciate your comments on that, and I do hope that we have a discussion about that at briefing next week. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
And the motion carries. Moving on to item number 9, other business, is an opportunity for department heads and elected officials to address the commission. Are there any department heads or elected officials that would like to address the commission? I see one maybe shaking their head.
Okay,
Come on, Dave.
good morning, Commissioners. This is just a reminder that next week, on Thursday, November 11th, from 4 to 7 p.m., we have our residential development workshop. It's going to be out at Public Works. And it's a chance for folks who are looking at building their dream home to come out and sit down with permit techs and planners and building inspectors and environmental health folks to go through the process and learn what's required and get the tips and hints to make their product that they're turning in a better product. And they'll be given a chance to get onto SmartGov, which is our new software that's coming online, and get their account set up. And it's just going to be a great informative evening.
Great, thank you.
It's advertised in the paper. We've got it online, and I have some brochures here as well.
Great, very good. Thanks, Dave. Any other department heads or electeds to address the commission? Okay, moving on to item 10.1. We passed 9:15, so we'll begin item 10.1, public hearing to consider revisions to Mason County Building Code 14.09.031. And ask staff to come forward and brief.
So this is Dave Wyndham, Mason County Community Services, briefing for Christopher Nelson, who is going to brief for me. So we ran the circle here. So this is a public hearing to adopt revision to Mason Building Code 14.09.031, excuse me. And the background on this is we went through our permits, looked at some of the permits that we're currently doing that really don't have a public health or safety connection. A lot of these are typically considered home maintenance, so we were looking at windows as like for like. So if you have a window that leaks, fogs up, replace with the same thing, like for like. Water heaters, a lot of people didn't realize that they needed a permit to change out water heaters. This does not include changing from electrical to gas. That would still require a permit. It holds true with doors. People didn't realize that as well. And siding. So siding was quite a discussion in this, and what we thought was as long as it does not expose studs, insulation, or change the structural integrity, siding could fall under this as well. So removal of these was recommended by staff, so it's before you today to look at changing like for like and removing those from our building permit system.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none. Members of the public, any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. We'll open the public comment period. If you'd like to make comment, raise your hand. The chair will recognize you. Come forward to the podium, state your name, make your comment.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Erin Hall. I'm here on behalf of Olympia Master Builders. The name is a little bit deceiving. We represent about 500 small home builders in Mason, Lewis, Thurston, Grays Harbor, and Pacific counties. We had the great opportunity to begin working with your staff many months ago to talk about the situation with permitting here in Mason County. Unfortunately, in Mason County, it's taking upwards of 90 days to get a permit for a single-family home. Across the state of Washington, the gold standard is about 2 to 3 weeks. In an ideal situation, and for slightly bigger counties, 4 weeks is pretty well acceptable. But again, we have a big gap between those two numbers. So the motion before you today would help with that a little bit. Essentially, your permitting department has to deal with too many things with limited staff resources. This would help pull some of those permits that don't impact directly public health and safety from their workload on a daily basis. So we are here supporting this motion full-heartedly. With that said, we understand that home ownership for generations now has untold benefits to the community, to economic development, personal benefits in terms of creating financial stability and good social outcomes for homeowners themselves. So we want to see that permitting time continue to go down. So again, we're in support of this particular motion, but urge you guys to consider that this is just going to be a drop in a very large bucket of changes that need to be made. And we look forward to working with you guys and your staff leadership to identify some future changes and process improvements that we can put into place to make sure that the dream of home ownership is accessible to all the citizens of Mason County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any additional comment? Any additional comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period and move to commissioner deliberation or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the building code revisions in 14.09.031.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revisions to Mason County Building Code 14.09.031. Any additional discussion?
I'd like to thank staff for getting on this and getting this done. As was mentioned, this is a drop in the bucket from what more is coming. The whole goal is to make a big impact on the speed at which we are able to take care of our constituents when it comes to their applications. I do want to make a point, though, that aside from what you were saying earlier, this is revenue neutral. If we don't get any money in because there's no permit, but we also don't send any staff out because there's no permit. So it's a wash. We're not losing money on this. So with that being said, though, I'm very much in favor of it. I look forward to the next chapters that are brought to us.
Very good, thank you. Any additional comment?
I'd like to thank staff also and Olympia Master Builders. I think that
Yes.
they're a great team and they can help us decrease our time. So thank you both.
I'll just echo those comments. This is a step forward, but it's only one of several that need to happen and that we're taking. We've been having a lot of conversations at the commission level with staff and stakeholders to try and unjam things in the permitting process. And I'm really excited about this. This was I think we're going to end up voting on like 20 items today as a commission. The overwhelming majority of which are fully supported by this commission, have been worked on very hard. And so I think it's important to not lose sight of that element of things too. And so this is one area where we are absolutely in lockstep and are continuing to do more to improve that. And so special thanks to staff for being willing to make these changes and open to that conversation, and our outside stakeholders who've been helpful along the way too. So more to come, but this is a great first step.
I want to thank the builders as well, because it was them that sent us a list of things for us to start to work on, and it was very much appreciated. They had done some work in Thurston County and brought some of that forward. So between that and the partnership with our staff, we were able to start this process of making major changes.
Very good. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, and the motion carries. Moving on to item 10.2, public hearing to consider adoption of the 2020 annual construction program, and ask staff to come forward to brief.
Thank you, Commissioners. Diane Sheasley with Public Works. The 2020 annual construction program is the first public hearing for Public Works today, and this is pretty much the first year of the 6-year program that will be the next hearing. And RCW 36.81.130 requires the county to prepare and adopt an annual construction program. Program recommendations for road and bridge construction projects are prepared by Public Works along with our TIPCAP, which is our Citizen Advisory panel, and submitted to the board for consideration and final adoption. Once adopted, the plan must be sent to the County Road Administration Board and the Secretary of Transportation. The Transportation Improvement Program Citizen Advisory Panel, TIPCAP, created by the board to increase public participation in the development of the annual construction program, reviewed the draft plan and recommends adoption of the 2020 annual construction program. We can revise the program at any time, but all revisions would go through this same public process.
Very good. Diane, just real quick, I'm sorry, before you step away. How might this look different than TIPs in the past?
The TIP, we've been trying to move towards something that's more realistic. We have, as most know, a limited budget here in Mason County. So there's always a long wish list of items. So we are really trying to get down to an annual program that we can actually construct everything on the annual program that year. And then when we talk about the TIP in a few moments, we have a recommendations list that we've added that are projects that are important to the community, but we can't afford them yet. And they're included then in the TIP so that we can apply for grant funds if such funding becomes available, and that we don't lose sight of any projects that were very important to the community, but we just didn't have the funds to put them into the budget.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff, commissioners? Any questions from the public for staff? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into public comment. Again, if you'd like to make public comment on item 10.2, raise your hand, shall recognize you, come forward, make your remarks. Any public comment on 10.2? Last time, any public comment on 10.2? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into commissioner deliberation or motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the 2020 annual construction program.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the 2020 annual construction program. Any additional discussion, commissioners?
Just a thank you to TIPCAP for everything, all the involvement they've had through every little part of this process.
Yeah.
We have a member of our TIPCAP up here in front, so make sure.
Yeah, yes,
Great.
thank you.
Okay, any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to item 10.3, public hearing to consider adoption of the 6-year transportation improvement program, and ask staff to come forward and brief.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning, Diane Sheasley again with Public Works. And this one is a 6-year transportation improvement program, also required by statute, RCW 36.81.121, as described in Chapter 136-15 WAC, requires the county to adopt a comprehensive transportation program for the ensuing 6 calendar years. The plan shall include proposed road and bridge construction work and other transportation facilities and programs. I'd like to also note that it does not include maintenance and preservation. These are capital projects. Public Works is recommending the attached, or that it's online, 2019 to 2024 6-year transportation improvement program to be adopted. Once adopted, the plan must be sent to the County Road Administration Board and the Secretary of Transportation, just like the annual program. And the program may also be revised at any time, but all revisions must follow the same public hearing process.
Very good. Question, Diane. Can you talk a little bit about our culvert projects on here and
Yes.
some of the related issues with those?
So there's a fairly new grant program, the Fish Barrier Removal Board, and this is being funded greatly through the legislature. This is a really important item right now in our state. As you know, there's some injunctions and things related to fish barrier removal. So we actually have quite a few culverts on the list. Mostly they're funded through the Fish Barrier Removal Board. We also have some fish barriers that are RATA funds, which is a state funding through the County Road Administration Board. And so that's a lot of our projects that are on the list right now.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any other questions for staff? Any questions from the public for staff?
Diane, the second line of the resolution says that the priority array was prepared by the county engineer. Did TIPCAP use that same priority array process when they made their recommendation?
This is a conversation that Ken and I have had some. We have an adopted priority array through the county from 2004. There's been some memorandums that have added some items to that, but they were never then formally adopted. There was also a draft in 2016 to update the priority array. In TIPCAP, we talked about this at our May meeting this year, and we will be adjusting the priority array. And so it's what the priority array, it's required by RCW 136-1430. And with that, there's 5 items that we're required to consider by law, which we do. And that's traffic volumes, roadway condition, geometrics, safety and accident history, and matters of significant local importance. Some of the change, for the most part, the answer is yes. Part of this, I've let you know that we don't follow exactly, is there are some changes that we need to make just to bring us into the decade that we're in now, instead of being back in the past. And that is such things as now when we apply for Highway Safety Improvement Program dollars, which we have a project on here we've received $1.1 million from the federal highways for. They use now a systemic safety analysis instead of only collisions. So we look at collisions still like the priority array, but we also look at items that help us with funding, and funding was part of the priority array that was adopted. And so I say yes, that we still do follow it, but we are also making some updates.
Did TIPCAP use it?
That was my question, was whether, I know the county engineer used that, did TIPCAP use any kind of process?
I'm gonna say yes, because we start with the county engineer's recommendation to TIPCAP.
Okay.
And so through that, yes.
Okay, thank you. Second question, the resolution that the commissioners are set to adopt, fifth line down said that there was a public hearing held on the 15th day of October. Is that a mistake? Or did I miss a meeting?
I think that's a community, there was a community meeting. Does it say public hearing?
It says public hearing.
Let me take a view, that might be a.
I think it's supposed to be today's date. This is the public hearing.
Yeah, today's the 5th, though.
I'm wondering if that's what it's supposed to read.
Yes, that is an error, that,
Thank you.
yes. You didn't miss anything,
Well,
yeah. That was either our
It's
briefing
confusing to the
date.
public.
Yes, that was either our briefing date or the public outreach. My apologies, great catch.
Is that supposed to read like the other one? The Board of County Commissioners has held a public hearing on annual construction program this 5th day of November. And is that what it's supposed to say here instead?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's something we could probably clear up in the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Could amend it then.
Yes, please.
Okay, any other questions for staff from the public? Okay, hearing no questions, we'll move into public comment. Again, if you'd like to make public comment on item 10.3, raise your hand. Chair recognizes you, come forward.
Ken Van Buskirk from Belfair. Commissioners, do you have a copy of the tip in front of you? Because I pulled the copy offline, and I just wanted to say I served on the TIPCAP committee for several years, and it was challenging. And I was able, at the time, Commissioner Netherland served on the same committee, and we were able to reestablish that priority array system for use by the TIPCAP committee. I've attended several of the TIPCAP meetings over the last couple of years, and I'm concerned about the appearance of conflict of interest by a couple members regarding certain projects. And I felt that they should have recused, at the very least, recused themselves from discussing those particular projects and voting on those particular projects. I just wanted to make that known up front. Regarding the specific projects on the TIPCAP, if you'll look at item 31, that's the way down at the bottom of the list. I feel that this item should be moved ahead of item 17 and 18. That's the two midpoint connectors to the freight corridor. And item 25, the construction on the Old Belfair Highway outside the urban growth area. And I'll tell you why I feel that way. Item 31 was one of the original transportation components of the original Belfair sub-area plan. And I've had discussions with both Loretta and TIPCAP about this. I think it was overlooked, that particular item was overlooked when
SCJ Alliance redid our transportation component a couple years ago, and it was number 7 of that original sub-area plan. Items 17 and 18, those 2 midpoint connectors, weren't even envisioned back when we did the sub-area plan. It wasn't included. So given the current daily gridlock situation in Belfair, I would encourage you to prioritize number 31 higher than those other 3 items that I suggested. It's my opinion that by not prioritizing that number 31 higher, the county's not complying with the Belfair sub-area plan, nor is it complying with the GMA concurrency requirement of transportation infrastructure to accommodate new growth or development. And that's my opinion, of course, but if the county hasn't updated its concurrency ordinance, it probably should be considering that. Regarding item 18, the Romance Hill connector to the freight corridor, I attended the freight corridor open house at the North Mason High School on October 17th. And the biggest concerns I heard from people that attended that, citizens of Belfair, besides the 2 endpoints, they haven't fully established where that are going to be. The biggest concern I heard was that item 18. And one of the concerns was that if that is constructed, the state is going to have to put a traffic light at the bottom of Romance Hill where it connects to current Highway 3, and instead of a roundabout. And the folks in attendance were pretty disappointed about that. So I'd encourage a lower priority be given to that specific item. And lastly, under for future considerations, down there at the very bottom, I'd like to suggest that the trail near Roselle Road be removed from any future plans until it's properly vetted in the community. That was simply a request by the Salmon Enhancement Group. They came to TIPCAP and wanted to get money to further a trail along there. So, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any other public comment on item 10.3? Any other public comment on item 10.3? Okay, hearing no additional comment on item 10.3, we'll close public comment and move to commissioner deliberation or motion.
Question, if you
Sure.
don't mind. On the testimony, did the TIPCAP take some of that stuff into consideration? Because I know that Mr. Van Buskirk did attend several of your meetings.
I'm not aware of that, no. Diane, if you probably address that.
Good morning again, Commissioners. So there was some consideration for that. The 4-way in Belfair with Clifton Lane and SR 300 was not on the tip prior to Mr. Van Buskirk coming to the meeting. And with consideration of that, we added a feasibility study onto the 6-year tip. It was prior going to just be on the recommendations list. So that was considered. The Romance Hill was considered as well, and it was actually lowered to be below Log Yard Road addition. But as you're aware, those are the 2 locations working with WashDOT that we would be allowed to make connections at this time. And through the planning phases of that, that is the way forward out of the planning studies, the Belfair Mobility Plan, and work with WashDOT.
And the future consideration wish list is just a wish list. It's not based on...
Is a wish list. It's items that will still be considered in the future. In fact, we will be hearing more about the project the Roselle Trail at this month's TIPCAP meeting is next Wednesday, I believe that's the 13th, from 5:30 to 7:30.
But it's not on the list, it's just.
It's a
Just a
future
place marker to-
consideration. Yes,
okay.
future considerations for projects to think about when we can find funding.
Very good, thank you.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve and execute the resolution adopting 2020 to 2025 six-year transportation improvement program with a correction. Under the resolution, the fifth whereas currently reads, whereas the Board of County Commissioners has held a public hearing on this 15th day of October 2019 to be changed to read, whereas the Board of County Commissioners held a public hearing on this 5th day of November 2019.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the six-year transportation improvement program for 2020 through 2025 with the resolution amended to read, whereas the Board of County Commissioners has held a public hearing on this 5th day of November 2019. Any additional discussion? I'll just make a couple of quick comments. Again, special thanks to all of our members of TIPCAP. TIPCAP is a very hard-working committee of citizens in our community and very appreciative of the time and effort put into it to get us to this point, as well as staff for all their work getting TIPCAP all the information they want and ever thought they would ever need. So I know there's we always need more information, and so that's always we always go back to staff and ask for that. And so just appreciate all the effort on that as well. And just a couple of comments just to kind of frame out the conversation that was had during public comment. I do think there are a couple of opportunities that exist in front of us, in particular with item 31 on the feasibility study. We have a meeting scheduled later this month with our legislators. I think given that's in an intersection with a state route, we should be talking to them pretty heavily about finding some state money to come in and help on that work. We also signed last week an agreement with the City of Shelton to partner for lobbying services. This would be a good item maybe to put in front of our new joint lobby partner on that in order to help encourage our legislators and educate them on the need to study this and to get some improvement there. So I wanted to make you aware of that. I think there's an opportunity on that, as well as the Romance Hill Connector. One of the things that I mentioned when we voted what feels like ages ago, but I think was maybe a year ago, on entering into an agreement with a consultant to do some of the work on that was the issue of the easement with the Navy as being one of the critical issues that I think we need to address. And that may provide some clarity to the viability of that project too. So just another thing to keep in mind. But again, I also appreciate the fact that we now have a parking lot, pardon the pun, parking lot for projects on the TIPCAP, or on the 6-year TIP, in order to identify things that we think are important in the community but need a lot more work and vetting, and then of course a lot more money. So I think overall this is a much improved TIP than we've seen in the past, and just appreciate all the work that went into it. Any additional discussion?
On some of the same notes, just to share with TIPCAP, the commission did okay me to have some conversations with that intersection with 300 and stuff, and I've gone forward and we had some conversations. They're looking at different options. Apparently there was some stuff historically that they're looking at and going to bring forward. With that, we'll have further conversations at this. Yes, it's at Clifton Road and Highway 300. So where it is right now is where it is right now. When they come forward, or if they come forward with some stuff, that's when we could start to look at funding and getting for us to do it on our own is just not very likely. We're going to need those agreements and the help from the legislature and stuff. But right now, in the future, you might let them know we are looking at that and working on it. The priority array, one of the biggest parts about the priority array, and I appreciate it, I would like to see the TIPCAP go back to looking at that more often. But one of the biggest pieces that I remember is one of the greatest movers on the priority array is fundability and what's funded and what's able to be done. And I think that's been taken into consideration with some of these things. Eventually here, when it comes to that intersection, it'll have to do with fundability on whether that jumps it up and makes it happen. Currently, right now with Log Yard and Romance, the projects are for the bypass are in the works. It's happening now. Fundability, it's all going on. And if we'll either enter into that contract or that agreement now with the Navy, as was mentioned by the commissioner, if we don't get it now, then it probably won't be in that grade. It'll change, and if that changes, all the bets are off because it jumps by 20 million. I think to do an overpass over the top of that or more, as expressed. So with that said, thank you very much for all your hard work, and I look forward to what you guys bring forward with the new information that we also have for next year.
Very good. Any additional discussion?
I just wanted to also thank TIPCAP for their time. We meet once a month for 2 hours, but it generally turns into a little bit longer, and there's public outreach that is also done by TIPCAP, and that is a huge commitment by our community. And I also wanted to thank Ken has been, as he said, visiting to several of the meetings, and to anyone else that comes to visit at our meetings. It's greatly appreciated by staff to have that community outreach that otherwise we only hear from, a select group, and this way TIPCAP's able to bring back items from their areas of the community. And so thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to item 11, board reports and calendar. I'll get us kicked off. Commissioner Evelyn, if you wouldn't mind going second, and Commissioner Trask finish out for us. Just a couple of quick items. We had a little bit of a layover with the fifth Tuesday, so just two quick things to point out from that time. A lot was going on. But it was great to get up to Belfair and welcome Consejo Counseling Services to the Belfair community. They operate in Western Washington and in a couple of other counties, Pierce and King and others, and they serve predominantly Spanish-speaking clients. And we also are happy to have an office for them here in Shelton. That we help fund their services through our treatment sales tax, but it's great to see them expand their services into the north part of the county and really get us working under this banner of one county. And I think they'll benefit greatly from having their presence in Belfair. Also had a chance to be a judge at the annual pumpkin catapult contest at Hunter Farms right before Halloween, and it was. We had Rainier, West Sound Tech, and then a new group from Shelton area, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Young Men's Club participated, and happy to say that they won. And so the catapult champions do still reside in Mason County, so excited about that. They had a really enthusiastic group. It's their first time participating, so that was pretty cool. And so. Always a fun event out in Union. Going forward this week, going to head off to the YMCA groundbreaking here right after the meeting. Then I'll be attending the Phoenix Awards. It's a awards lunch for folks working in behavioral health and substance use disorder treatment. And so we have a couple of people from Mason County being honored, including Abe Gardner from Mason County Public Health for his work on the opioid crisis response. Later this week, I'll also be meeting with Scott Brewer from the Hood Canal Coordinating Council, meeting also with Liz Arbaugh, who's the new director at the Mason County Historic Society. Also have a meeting with the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization, and then lunch with our state representative, Drew McEwen, later this week as well. And then out for the holiday weekend.
Okay, we had our Hood Support meeting, met with Derek Kilmer, EDC director. North Mason Scholarship Lunch, attended a cruise for the ARC. Usually we have this big gala event. This year we changed it to include some of our people that are members of the ARC, and it was pretty awesome. We're on a boat and watching 100+ members of the ARC out there dancing and stuff. Was all in costume. Was pretty exciting. Let's see. We had our briefings. We had budget. I also will be meeting with Representative McEwen. more budget. We did a jail walkthrough. We at least did the first jail.
And they let us out. So it's all good.
They thought about it, though. I met with the Alta community in regards to some issues when it comes to the Belfort bypass. I also met with some folks representing the people that are looking to build the 300 to 350 unit apartment complex. Asked me to take them around the North Mason area to show them other areas they may be interested in investing in to help bring housing to North Mason, which we need so desperately up there. More briefings. I actually went to Idaho. Thank you, my wife, for such a great gift. I got to see an old friend of mine I haven't seen for quite a while. And that brings us back to a left board meeting. And then this next week, we have budget. Again, I'm meeting with Drew. ACA meeting, YRA 15. Spencer Pruitt from North Mason is receiving his Eagle Scout Award. I'll be attending that and putting together a letter for him. And there's a veteran event at the Hub.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Trask?
Well, it has been a couple busy weeks. So I had a timber meeting with the Washington State Association of Counties. We also had the Mason County Summit Health meeting at Alderbrook, and that was very well attended, and I think we built some good partnerships with everybody. There was a Realtors Housing Issues briefing. The catapult contest was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. We have some pretty talented people. Some of the catapults were very cool. Take a look at online Mason Web TV. They have some pretty good shots of them. Had coffee with Congressman Kilmer. Had some friends out from the auditor's office. That was a lot of fun. And then the jail tour. I think they left early because they were afraid that they might be kept, but I was safe. So that was very educational. Some of the tours, some of the jails are I feel that they could work for Mason County, just trying to find the funding and clearing up some other details. Went out, had Public Works. I am now a member of the Public Works Board for the state, so I had a meeting. And that was a lot of fun. Chowder Cook-Off was last Saturday, and I was a judge, and it was hard to judge because all the chowders were delicious, and I do love chowder. This week, we have a LTAC meeting tomorrow. We'll also be at the El Serape tonight for election night gathering. Thursday, there's an emergency management meeting or training, I guess, out at Public Works. And then I have a meeting with a constituent on Friday, the long weekend, and then we're back here on Tuesday.
Okay, very good. Having reached the end of our agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We're adjourned. Have a good day, everybody.